So let's talk about when your dog eats things off the ground. I'm Gabrielle Johnson, certified dog behavior consultant specializing in aggression and nervous system dysregulation, and I also have my bachelor's degree in psychology and sociology. So I actually see this a lot. And it usually presents for me in a few different contexts. Sometimes I have dogs who are finding things on the ground and resource guarding them. Sometimes I have dogs who are finding things on the ground and consuming them, sometimes leading to GI issues or blockages. Sometimes I have dogs who are spending the whole walk looking for something to eat. They're kind of frantic and focused on that. So they're not really enjoying or getting the benefit of the walk. If anything, that actually might be more stressful for them. And certainly these situations are causing a lot of stress for the human, who is also hypervigilant and on alert. So first, I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of different situations, and the advice that works for you might vary based on not only why is the dog doing it, but the environment in which you live. If you're walking in a city where someone's discarding chicken wing bones like every other step, and your dog also loves cigarette butts, that's going to be really more challenging than someone who has a nice big green space to walk in where they can avoid a lot of trash or food items on the ground. So the first thing to do is figure out why the dog is eating the things. Is this just curiosity and looking, or is there a bit of stress and anxiety around this? And of course, there may be extra steps we need to take if we're working to prevent resource guarding. The dog doesn't want to give up the item, or if they are already actively resource guarding. We don't want to create resource guarding by taking items for the dog if we can help it. So always try to trade. If you can, bring your highest value treats that your dog can have and see if they will trade you. I like to toss the treats away so the dog moves away from the item. Obviously, teaching your dog proactively to move away. So outside of those situations, I've talked about this in a couple different videos, teaching them to move away with a let's go or a hand target. I've talked in one video about why I don't teach a leave it, but that is the behavior you're teaching. You're teaching your dog in easier situations to come away. But in that moment, when you're like, well, we aren't there yet, try tossing those high value foods. Another thing you can work on proactively or in preparation for those moments is positive muzzle acclimation. So taking your time to make sure that it's positive. They even make some muzzles with a little mouth guard for dogs that are eating things off the ground or eating poop. And so if you're dealing with blockages, GI issues, or serious resource guarding, that's often a helpful preventative measure. If this is really obsessive, it's also happening in other places, and these are non-food items. This is always worth a vet visit, but especially in those situations, if your dog's eating non-food items, we might want to be looking at, is something going on physically? We also want to make sure, especially if it's a lot of poop items, are there any parasites? Is everything okay nutritionally? So this can very much be a vet issue as well. You can also use a Kong hand or pattern games to move past items that are really tempting if they're infrequent enough for that. But again, we need to know why, manage, and then train outside of that situation.